Right now, though, our pleasure to welcome in our guy, AJ Perez from Front Office Sports. AJ, when did you get home from Phoenix?
Landed at 7 a.m. today.
Nice. Were you on Kime's flight? That was a disaster.
No, I don't.
All
It
over the
sounds
place?
like that was to go to DCA. There was the only other person we saw, that was the owners meetings that I saw was Pat Kerwin from SiriusXM. That was the only other media person I saw in there. And for some reason, I got tossed in the final row by United because I booked my flight a day earlier. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's, I guess, yeah, you booked the day earlier. That's a rough go. All right, let's dive right into it. So you reported yesterday. So there's kind of timeline of the reports, right? ESPN says, hey, Josh Harris, $6 billion bid, fully funded. Next thing we know, the Canadian billionaire guy, $6 billion, fully funded. You start digging around, and you ultimately report last night that you think Josh Harris is the only serious bidder for the Commanders. How did you arrive at that conclusion and ultimately arrive there at a reportable level?
Yeah, well, it was like probably within an hour, actually 45 minutes to an hour of when Schefter had the first report about Harris having that $6 billion bid. I was there in Phoenix. I have my sources. I'm also texting and calling around. I realized, my sources told me that it was under six. It was between $5.5 to $6 billion. Then kind of hinted at issues with the Canadian, it's a long Greek name.
Yes.
Steve, I'll call him Steve.
Stephen A, which is kind of funny if you want to go that route.
Yeah, Steve the Canadian. So there were issues around that. So I spent the rest of the day reporting. And obviously, we talked to the owners. They didn't really say much. And then, kind of right about an hour after the meetings closed out, I finally got something. I was like, yeah, Harris is the only guy at this point. The only current serious bidder is Josh Harris. The only one with enough money to back his bid is Josh Harris.
So where do you think the discrepancy is, as much as you can tell, between Schefter saying, hey, Steve Antholopoulos, I believe is close to his name. Steve the Canadian, where his bid is fully funded, and you're saying like, no, there's issues there.
Yeah, it's, I having covered this stuff for so long, I always expected that something major like this would come from from Schefter or one of the NFL Network people, that maybe Tom Pelissero or somebody else, because Dan Snyder controls he controls all the information, a lot of the information, not all of it. I've been able to report a lot out of it without having any support or any help from the team. So that we don't know where it came from. The way it was worded, the first week, fully financed, that made zero sense to me, because we know 30% has to be liquidity, and for a $6 billion bid, that's $1 billion. So that was kind of, the wording was a little weird. And then An hour later, we heard Steve the Canadian also has a $6 billion bid in there. That's when my sources, that's when I was like, I got some pushback. I'm like, he's not, AJ, he's not. He's still getting stuff together maybe, but he's not there yet.
Gotcha. AJ Perez, Front Office Sports, with us here on the Team 980, back from Phoenix at the NFL owners meetings. Okay, so we know Josh Harris, only serious bidder as of now, and has submitted a bid. Do you think that Tillman Fertitta or this other mystery bidder or Jeff Bezos ultimately will? Or is this now a mano-a-mano showdown between Dan Snyder and Josh Harris about whether or not Harris might actually push to that full $6 billion, which is apparently Dan's asking price, or someone else get involved here?
It's right now, it's Josh Harris or Bezos at this point. We know now, could the Canadian combine with Tillman or something? Maybe, But, we've had, there's been other teams sold, not the Broncos, but prior teams sold, where the top bidders, there was more money bid by serious people. But then when the bankers go back and go through stuff, it's like there's like red flags where enough where where Jerry Richardson was warned about at least one of those bids during before Dave Tepper was tapped. Dave Tepper, according to my sources, was not the highest bidder for the Panthers, but he had the most real money. So this is where we're at. So right now, the real money is Bezos, obviously the richest person in the world. We don't know what he's doing yet. And obviously Josh Harris has worked, I wouldn't say he's doing PR by adding, because he's added, Magic Johnson's not the richest person ever, but he's a huge name, has a lot of money. and Mitch Rales. So between the three, they have a combined estimated net worth of about $12 billion. So that's what you're going to need, because beyond the selling price, you got to add $3 to $4 billion for a new stadium within the next 3 to 4 seasons.
Right. And do you think that, like, as the NFL is trying to approve these bids, like, are they looking ahead to that kind of stuff, or are they like, whoa, hopefully the new ownership group can negotiate and get some public funding, and that ability to have that much money is actually not that big of a deal in the long run?
Yeah, so they don't want to get to a process where what happens. So the winning bidder is selected by an owner, I guess, in this case, Dan Snyder. It goes to the NFL. It's called a Packer application. That goes to the NFL Finance Committee, who spends several weeks looking through stuff. They don't want to get to that point. It would look really bad, not only for Dan Snyder, but also look really bad for Bank of America if they put somebody up that's not been fully vetted, that's going to have issues. But it'll come for a vote eventually. But if the Finance Committee finds so many issues and so many concerns, you're looking at not getting that 24 vote threshold, and nobody wants that. Then you're back at square one. This is why this is a very, very critical juncture. That's something I reported Monday. This is a very critical juncture of including a part of that is doing the research and seeing how much money all these groups are actually worth, and how much money, so they have enough money to clear all the the NFL bylaws with debt limits and everything else.
AJ Perez, Front Office Sports, with us here on the Team 980. All right, your best guess, and I will underscore here, this is a guess. What is the next month and a half until these owners' meetings in May look like?
Yeah, I know. That's so, yeah. I didn't expect to go to Minnesota. I guess I am. I like Minnesota.
I think Minneapolis in May would probably be beautiful. It's a great city.
It's better than covering Super Bowl there when I was chasing protesters around for USA Today during the Super Bowl outside with my cell phone.
Not great in February.
It was too cold. No. But yeah, it's I think before I wrote Monday. There's a sense that there's something going to happen soon. I don't know what soon is. My sources really. Maybe it was blind faith that they were saying that a little bit, but there's some owners I talked to, some of the executives in the know, feel that there's, that they've given Dan Snyder enough time. He has more time. They're giving him until May. I know everybody freaked out when Irsay mentioned October. I did. My heart sunk. I'm like, October.
Yeah, really, that's dude. No, please God.
So yeah, I think before then, there's then the way things have moved the last couple of days, if things go in that direction, I think we're a couple of weeks out possibly, but it's hard to put a timeline on that. Because we don't know. It's all Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder is in charge of this process. He will pick who he wants to pick, or he will keep the team. I know that's a very small chance, still a chance.
For whatever it's worth, I don't believe that. I don't believe he's keeping the team.
Yeah, well, when you're down to if he doesn't get above 6, and I think Harris can get above 6 if he
I would think that, but also like he's getting thrown out of the league if he tries to keep it.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah, I think there's they've been having his advisor film Irsay, that kind of irked a lot of people around there. And my question of Norm also kind of irked some people around the Commanders. But it's so there's there's no, I'm not saying there's no way back, but it's going to be so hard to operate the team. You're not going to get a stadium. He has so much debt. He can't finance a stadium. He can't, there's probably not a lot of money left out there to pay cash towards a new stadium. No public funding.
Yeah. Well, and also he's already punted.
And the investigation.
He's gone. Like he's already punted, which is just, again, I've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why we're still, like, if you're him and you're already punted, why are you, I guess the reason is money. Like he's trying to squeeze that last couple $100 million out of Josh Harris. Yeah. But like, man, could you squeeze a little harder to get this done, please? All right, last thing real quick, because you've had people talk to you about the Mary Jo White report. You've been really hard pressing on that as well. Where do we think that is after the Jerry Jones, I know what's in the report, and Goodell being no, you don't, you big dummy, and that whole back and forth yesterday?
Yeah, we were there was a couple of weeks ago, I thought maybe there was a chance it would come out last couple of days when I was in Phoenix. That I kind of realized a few days before the owners' meetings that wasn't going to happen, but I think it'll be presented, if not at the May the May meeting, because I think she's done many interviews, some that went into this year, still trying to get Dan Snyder. I asked Roger Goodell, if he doesn't interview, if that what's going to be, that's another thing hanging over his head, why he will sell almost definitely is this report and the sanctions that could come out of it. So we don't know when it's coming out. It's very extensive. As I reported it, she went very, very deep into the financial side of things. And I think she found a lot of things that, I began reporting a year ago on this before Congress came out with their stuff. So I think she found even more than Congress has laid out. Now, there's stuff Congress, as I reported a couple weeks ago, there's stuff Congress did not make public that there's a sense that the federal investigators do have.
Right. And that's obviously ongoing as well. All right, AJ Perez back from Phoenix and the owners' meetings, keeping us in the loop here on the Hoffman Show. We appreciate it, AJ, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, that's AJ Perez, everybody.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.